All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a massive, highly debated cultural shift that's been unfolding online. We're looking at the James Unscripted channel, which is making a pretty bold claim that men are fundamentally changing how they date, and in a lot of cases, they're just walking away completely. Now, look, we aren't here to take sides today. We're just here to neutrally unpack his worldview, the arguments he makes, and the why behind all this commentary. Okay, let's dive into this with a foundational quote from the source. It goes like this: "Great men do not mind spending money, but what a man does mind is feeling used." And honestly, that right there is the beating heart of the channel's entire thesis. It's this assertion that modern men are feeling increasingly underappreciated, like they're just being treated as a utility. And that's what's prompting this massive shift in how they handle relationships. So that leaves us with the million-dollar question, right? Why are men allegedly abandoning the modern dating market? Well, the source frames this not as some random trend, but as a direct backlash against modern entitlement. The suggestion here is that both men and women are contributing to a breakdown in modern marriages and relationships, with a huge spotlight placed on what the creator views as a prevailing sense of entitlement. So here's our roadmap for unpacking these claims today. First, we'll cover the modern dating disconnect. Number 2, transactional dating and appreciation. Third, prioritizing peace and attitude. And finally, we'll wrap up with 5 controversial dating facts. Okay, let's get into section 1, the modern dating disconnect and shifting expectations in relationships. So the core argument here is all about traditional expectations just totally crashing into modern attitudes. Take this anecdote the source shares about pretty privilege. Imagine you take a woman out to dinner. You ask her where she wants to go and she says she doesn't care. But the second you arrive, she starts complaining about the menu and completely sours the mood for the rest of the night. The channel argues that some women use their physical attractiveness to basically excuse exactly this kind of behavior. In that specific story, the creator points out that 3 distinct lines were crossed: complaining about the venue after giving 0 input, bringing in all these uncommunicated high expectations, and just having a generally sour attitude. The point he makes is that even though the guy acknowledged she was beautiful, her behavior instantly neutralized her looks. And this is the exact micro-interaction the channel uses to explain why men are starting to redirect their time and their wallets. Moving right along to section 2, transactional dating and appreciation, or what we're going to call the ATM effect. Now, check out the contrast in expectations here. On one side, you have what the source views as toxic assumptions, the idea that a man is essentially obligated to fund hair, nails, and bills simply because of his gender, with absolute 0 reciprocation. And on the other side, the alleged male response to that. They aren't backing away because they're broke. Instead, they're pulling back, becoming highly selective, and really guarding their peace and resources because they just feel completely unappreciated. Interestingly enough, the channel actually brings in a woman's perspective to validate this exact point. She says, and I quote, "When a man realizes your energy is what I can get from him instead of what we can build together, he will definitely change." That hits right at the core of the thesis. The idea is that men want cooperative building, and they will immediately shut down if the whole dynamic just feels like a literal ATM transaction. All right, section 3, prioritizing peace and attitude, and what men are allegedly evaluating. So what is actually happening during these dates? Well, the source claims to reveal this sort of broken man code. Basically, a woman might think a date is going wonderfully because the conversation is flowing, right? But underneath all that, the guy is actually conducting a secret evaluation. He's scrutinizing body language, facial features, tone of voice, and overall disposition. If he detects a combative attitude, the date is already over in his head, no matter how stunning she looks. Which brings us to perhaps the loudest claim in this entire analysis. Men today value peace and respect over anything, literally anything. Not looks, not curves, peace. The argument here is that modern men are absolutely willing to walk away from conventional beauty if it's going to cost them their peace of mind or bring disrespect into their lives. And this brilliantly illustrates just how polarizing this perspective gets. The creator explicitly estimates that a massive majority, we're talking up to 95% of modern women across all demographics, exhibit these difficult attitudes and lack accountability. Now, obviously, we are strictly reporting this as his personal viewpoint, but it perfectly encapsulates his underlying premise. He views the dating market as fundamentally broken for men, mostly because he sees conflict, rather than true partnership, as the norm today. Okay, let's head into section 4, 5 controversial dating facts, and a polarizing perspective. Here, the channel endorses a rapid-fire list of highly polarizing beliefs. Let's break them down real quick.
Number 1. Dating value decreases with age, allegedly because older women are perceived as having less patience or more rigid attitudes. Number 2. Professional degrees and accolades, completely irrelevant to men in a romantic context. Number 3. Men aren't actually intimidated by success. Number 4, and yeah, this one's harsh, children from previous relationships are viewed strictly as liabilities, not assets to a new man. And finally, number 5, men actively dislike extra aesthetics, things like heavy makeup or massive false eyelashes.
Let's zoom in on that third point about intimidation for a second, because there is a very specific nuance here. The whole narrative that men are intimidated by strong women is completely false, according to the creator. He argues men desperately want strong women for true partnerships because, frankly, weak partners create problems. But, and this is a big but, he claims that bad, combative behavior is frequently disguised as strength. So men aren't fleeing success, they are fleeing disrespect. To cap off the list, we have this bonus fact, which is the ultimate non-negotiable deal breaker for the creator: a lack of accountability. It's the inability to take responsibility mixed with a habit of always pointing out a man's flaws while totally ignoring your own. The source claims this is the absolute definitive trait that will guarantee someone remains single in the modern era. And that brings us to our conclusion: the search for respect. So, tying all these controversial threads together, the overarching narrative is that men are retreating from dating because they flat out refuse to be an ATM anymore. They are placing a massive premium on personal peace over physical looks, and they're demanding mutual accountability. Ultimately, the channel doesn't frame this as men simply giving up. Instead, it's presented as a rigid, unyielding search for fundamental respect. Well, we've unpacked the source material, but honestly, the best part of this explainer is the discussion it generates with all of you. So, what is your take on these polarizing arguments? Do you see these dynamics actually playing out in the real world, or do you completely disagree with the creator's premise? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me to break down this fascinating topic today. Before you go, please share this explainer, add a comment in the comment section, and hit that bell notification when you subscribe. It really helps us keep creating these deep dives for you. See you next time.